Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast, where we break down everything short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, and building a profitable hospitality business. Whether you're a host, investor, or property manager, we share real strategies, real insights, and real experiences to help you scale smarter and grow faster. Let's dive in.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt Cotta. I'm here with my good buddy Austin Spitz, and today we have a rock star guest, Sarah King, in the house. What is going on, Sarah?
Just a beautiful, it's finally sunny in Indiana, so it's a great day to be here. I'm excited.
Like a week, huh? No, I'm just kidding.
It's been a couple days. We're all excited.
The sun came out.
It does happen in Indiana.
Well, we're super excited to have you here, Sarah. For those of our listeners that don't know about you, go ahead and give us a brief background of how you kind of got in the real estate space and what exactly you're up to today.
Yeah, so I started out actually into like personal finance. So I was like a really big super nerd and learned all about like investing, index funds for any nerdy listeners out there. That's kind of how it began. But then once you kind of figure out the basics of investing, you realize it's pretty boring and it's kind of set and forget. And so it was like, okay, what else can I do to build wealth? I was always kind of on this mission to like be financially independent and eventually like get out of the hustle and grind. I didn't be working until I'm like 75 and too old to move and, retire and maybe be able to play golf. Like I just didn't want that to be my life. And so, kind of looked into real estate investing. I guess my husband at the time was saying, like, let's do real estate. And I'm like, oh, that can't be too bad. And then I realized a lot of it is like back end systems and processes. And I like the systems and process piece, like the leasing part. And so we dove into long-term rentals. So interestingly, we built up a portfolio to 5 properties together. And then eventually I got divorced. We sold everything and I just completely started over all by myself. And I'm like, okay, if I'm a single mom with a 1-year-old, how do you restart in real estate? And I'm like, well, you house hack. That's what you do. And so I did my first house hack, literally had to Google like, how do you do drywall? So I'm like YouTubing stuff with a 1-year-old, and that's kind of how I got started. That was also my first foray into like raising private capital. And so I essentially convinced my family that they should totally buy this house with me. And they bought that idea, which is still shocking to this day. Got them paid back, refied after a year after the house hack was up and running, and then kind of gave them back their money. And they're like, oh, it worked. I'm like, did you think it wasn't going to work? Like, and so I had like a first proof of concept and then kind of rolled that into the next deal. And then after 2 deals, the family was like, we're out. You're a crazy person and you're moving too fast. I'm like, fair enough. But at least I now have a little bit of track record that I can pay people back. And started raising money off of Instagram, actually, which is fascinating. My CPA is still fascinated that any stranger online will lend you money. But yeah, started buying real estate and then scaled up over the last like few years. So really, I've been doing this for 6 years now. And then when interest rates started to get crazy, which is when I found you guys actually, was I started getting into short-term rentals and mid-term rentals in my home market of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And so started buying properties here because I needed more cash flow and there just wasn't enough meat on the bone. And I was a really bad wholesaler and really bad at finding off market deals. And so I'm like, I have to create something that'll cash flow. And so doing the furnished rentals was really fun. I like the design aspect. And then as of this year, I thought, I wanted to build some kind of business and I figured it would be co-hosting at the beginning of the year. So I actually, ended things with my property manager and built out an entire team. And that's been my like passion project for this year is how can I take a really good care of the properties and kind of what is the income potential in this market if you do a bit more design. And so now I'm at 18 doors, 10 of them are long-term rentals. I have, 8 STRs and I am managing 1 now for somebody else and potentially a couple more in the works. But that's really been I've essentially done a crash course in co-hosting over the last like 3 to 4 months. So that's how I found you guys originally was I'm like, where do you find insurance claims? Like, how do I get insurance claim bookings? And I watched your interview with Vivian Yip and Austin and I had talked for years. And yeah, so yeah, we'd kind of talk on and off on Instagram for a while, and that's kind of how this started. So that's I guess the
That's
journey,
cool.
and that wasn't very short, but that's the whole thing.
That's cool. I was just talking with her team the other day about a 4-month rental at a house that I managed. But
Nice.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Austin texted me. He said he had something. So sorry, Austin. Apologize.
No, it's all good. That was a really good intro. I just was jotting down notes, and there's just so much to unpack here. And I want to go back. So let's talk about your first house hack. Like, what did that look like? Was it like a fourplex? Was it like a single family house and you rented out the 3 to 4 different rooms and then bounced in a year? Just give me a little play by play of like what you did on your first investments, or anybody that's listening that doesn't own any real estate yet, but they want to do that, because I think house hacking is like the best way to get into the game. I never did it.
Amazing.
I bought mine the traditional way, but I think it's an amazing way to do things. So what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I was convinced that I wasn't going to like live with a 1-year-old with tenants like living with me. So the way the room model was like immediately out. And at that time, the Bigger Pockets Rookie podcast was new, and they had a co-host named Felipe on there, and he talked a lot about how he was converting these houses in a single family house with a walkout basement into up-down duplexes. And I'm like, this guy has it figured out. Because essentially, I'm buying a house at a single family home price and converting it into an up down unit. I actually looked for like place with mother-in-law suites because I like the idea of not sharing walls, but that ended up being harder to find. So the one I ended up buying was a single family house with a walkout basement. It already had a kitchen in the downstairs, already had a full bathroom. It just was a big open basement that needed bedrooms. And so carved like 2 bedrooms and had the bathroom and kitchen already kind of in there. So it was like a huge studio apartment we just walled up and soundproof.
So yeah, you also mentioned like I got like a hint of like there was some DIY vibes there. You were saying you learned how to do drywall or something.
Yeah.
So did you learn how to be very handy and skilled through doing this, or did you like leverage contractors, or you were getting your hands dirty?
I learned the danger of hiring contractors or the cheapest the hard way. And then I became a DIY renovator. I've always like loved to paint stuff. So like painted the cabinets, like redid the hardware, like really basic things. But then my handyman ended up being really bad at drywall. And so I ended up teaching myself a lot of the drywall. And I remember I had like 3 contractors quoted and I thought I knew what I was doing. And the one guy came in and he's like, it'll be $16K for everything you want to do. I'm like, that's outrageous. And I ended up spending $20,000 by the time it was all said and done, using 2 of the cheaper guys and kind of piecemealing it together. So, learned a lot of things. And then I spent a lot of time stress drywalling because I just like needed the thing done and it wasn't done and it was kind of a mess. So learned a lot of the hard ways and it looks beautiful now. I actually am pretty good at drywall. I just don't ever want to do it again if I can help it. So.
Yeah, drywall sucks.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, drywall sucks. I redid my own bathroom in my house like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and we're like, this is the worst part. All this sanding, and we're like in a small little room, and it was like, terrible idea. I would never do that again.
I should also preface this with I've always had a full-time day job.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't have time for this, but here I am. Like that was all my evenings and early mornings was drywall and painting.
Yeah, you just think, well, I need something to do, I guess. So,
Yeah. Everyone's like, what are your hobbies? I'm like, real estate and more real estate.
Doing scary stuff like, for fun. Go ahead, Austin. Go ahead, buddy. I just laugh about the drywall.
Oh no, you're good. I was just thinking you had to lose money that way, right? And then invest your time into it. And you had to go through that process to realize maybe like paying the person up front, or there is a more efficient way to do that, or what is my time worth, right? So like you had to learn something through that process, right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it was like I just grew up in a household that no one was really particularly handy. And so I didn't even know how, like, what questions to ask because I didn't really know how things were done right. Or like like a big project, like managing the whole scope of a big remodel. And so a lot of it's just been on the job training and kind of learning the hard way. And you find contractors that'll actually teach you instead of being like, this girl's an idiot. And now I sound like I know what I'm doing on a job site, but I didn't at first. So,
I think no matter how many times somebody hears don't hire the cheap contractor, they do it anyway.
oh,
And I've heard it 1,000 times and I've done it too. And I'm like, God, this guy screwed me.
mm-hmm.
Like, you think it's all good, then you have somebody else and he's like, oh yeah, that's not hooked to tied in right, and this isn't right, and that's not right. Oh, your deck's about to fall. They're like, holy shit, I don't know. Oh man, I just paid 10 grand for this. Like, what? So it's like, yeah, that's a good lesson for people that the cheapest is not always the best. I agree with you. I've had occasions happen to me, and then the people who act like they're the best are not always the best either, because they just think that you're like, oh my God, this guy's so perfect. And then you got to think like, okay, what's not perfect? What's really happening? Because it's like,
and you also learn that like every contractor hates the previous one's job, no matter how great the first one was or how terrible the second one is. They're all going to point out stuff the other one did wrong, and it's like, does this really matter? Does it not really matter? But they all talk smack about each other's work, and you're like, come on, guys.
Like, then you have to go to YouTube University to figure out the truth. No.
I literally went to Menards. I don't know if you guys have Menards where you're at.
No, but I bought something from them online, and I think it's the shit. Because you get they give you like money back no matter what, like on kinds of stuff. I bought a Schleg lock there one time online. I don't know. I was just like, sometimes I get in the mood to find a deal. So I'm like trying to find a deal, and like it was the best deal. And I'm like, I've never heard of this place, but I'll order one. Why not? And I thought I got scammed because it got delivered somewhere else. And then I called them and I was like, hey, this got delivered today. I didn't get it. And they were like, oh, we're so sorry. And the next day it showed up, and I'm like, that's so weird. And then I started seeing like I have other friends that are like doing short-term rentals, and I saw post a video. Oh yeah, I'm at Menards today. I'm like, holy crap, it is a real store. I didn't even know it was a real store. I think it's like all over there where you live. Yeah, it's not out here. It's not. It's like, epic.
If you want to go to like it's a Lowe's or Home Depot, essentially the same. They sell literally the same things, but their materials like are higher quality. Like their lumber's actually straight, and like it's affordable, and they directly source a lot of things, so you can get like really affordable like wood products and I don't know, Schleg locks and like everything Home Depot would sell, except I feel like their design is lacking. Like they're very like Midwest chic, so if you want like a certain light fixture or anything like fancier than that, like Menards is not your place. But if you want some like good quality vanities that won't break, it's a nice place to be.
And they give you like Kohl's cash, Austin. It's crazy.
It is.
Like they give you rebates on all kinds of stuff, and you just get like Menards. Like
in the center console of my car, I have like $100 to Menards right now.
Yeah, see,
like my car's getting broken into, but I'm like, so back when I was house hacking, like single mom, paying like my attorney, like all this stuff, I was like, I would go to Menards and like buy groceries because you had grocery. And like, I bought all this paint and stuff to finish my basement out, and I'll also get some pizza and some bacon. Because they have like a whole grocery section
to put on the pizza, bacon for the pizza.
Right.
So have you ever heard of HEB?
What is it?
Not HEB.
Mm-mm.
See, that's the wild one to me. So when I go out of town or I go to these conferences or something, like HEB is like the grocery store. I think for the most part, it's just in Texas. It's like
it's a Texas grocery store.
I mean, I think it's pretty awesome, but I don't have like an extensive grocery store knowledge. But it like they have sushi.
Have you ever been to Publix?
Yeah, I think it's similar to that, but I've been to Publix. I think HEB's better, but it's just wild to me when I go down to town. I'm like, you got to get that at HEB or something, and people are like, dude, I don't know what HEB is.
Also,
I think it's
people
just
are like Publix grocery stores, like diehards. Like people love Publix. Like you're gonna get like hate comments on like saying yours could be better than Publix. People are like, no, nothing's.
It's like the same thing. Like they have like super Publix, right? Where like they sell all kinds of crap. HEB is like the same thing. It's like hometown store. Everything's kind of sourced locally for the most part, except for like national brand stuff. But yeah, it's funny because I actually moved to Texas, and everyone was like, "Oh, you got to go to HEB. You got to go to HEB." And I walked in, I was like, "That's a grocery store. Okay, cool." Like I don't see anything. To me, I don't see anything different besides like their brand says HEB on it. I'm like, cool. Yeah. Do I like the store better than Kroger? Absolutely. I don't like any. I've been to a lot of grocery stores, and I don't like any stores that Kroger owns. I'm sorry, Kroger, but I mean, it's like that's how like Menards. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Also, Menards is kind of like a Midwest thing, right? So that's kind of cool.
I've never met anyone that doesn't like Menards the best though. Like
I've never been there. Just ordered something. I had a good experience. That I'm like, this place looks cool. They gave me money, and I don't even know what I did with it. I mean, I probably threw it away. But anyway, off the topic here. So you decided that you just wanted more cash flow, and that's why you decided you were going to start a co-hosting business.
So I had a breakup with my property managers and we went our separate ways. And I was like, I don't know if there's anyone in town in my region that really does a good job. And one of my, I guess, pain points with them was like the cleaners were getting frustrated because they'd be like, hey, the toilet paper holder's broken. And they reported in Turno. And like 7 cleans later, it'd still be like broken. And it was just like little things like that. And I'm like, do I think anyone else where I live is going to like maintain the houses how I want them maintained and really get those like 5-star reviews and things like that? And there really wasn't any like big property managers in town. So there's kind of the guys I was with. There's a really amazing lady in town, but she does some smaller units and her and I are really good friends. And I was like, do you want my houses? And she had just expanded into Phoenix, Arizona. And she's like, I will support you. I will teach you or ask any questions you have. But she's like, I cannot take on anything else right now. Like I call uncle because I'm trying to do this expansion into a better market, like a higher, I guess, cost market and do something different. And she was like living in an RV, traveling around a different city. She had Airbnbs in. And so she was crushing it. And she's like, I'll be your best friend, but you can do it on your own and build a team. And so pretty much went for it. My husband thought I was crazy, but we're making it. So
It's funny because a lot of people, and a lot of people don't realize, and I'll say for all the people that are trying to like start co-host businesses and stuff, a lot of people don't realize that people who have their property managed by other companies don't think there's alternatives.
no.
So a lot of people will be like, for instance, like, well, oh, my house is managed by Vacasa, but who's left? Who else can manage my house? But there's like so many different boutique operators out there, and that's really your like plus, like your plus to be able to like, yeah, oh, I'm here too. And you say exactly the same thing that, my wife and I, we talk to our clients, we pride ourselves on, we treat your house just like it's our house. So
Yep.
it's like when I walk in and something's like broken that's not reported to me, like we're going to have an issue. Like,
Yeah.
cause I want the house to look exactly the way the house, oops, I hit the mic, exactly the way the house looks when I left it. I want it to look
Yep.
exactly the same when I walk into it, because it's the same thing. If you go and stay at the house, I mean, I was the owner and somebody was managing my house and I went there and it was just like the toilet paper thing was broken and this was broken, I would just be pissed. Like,
Yeah.
it's like it's an experience you're providing. You need to provide the same experience for every single guest. And when they walk in, it needs to seem like nobody's slept there. Like it's just waiting for you. So, I mean,
Yep.
that's
And I
great.
did
And
some
it's
really
just
good things with
opportunity.
those property managers. Like we at one point owned a cleaning business together and we kind of did it out of necessity because they had so many properties they managed. They were doing like 45 in town. And so we essentially built out together this like laundromat situation. So we had like a centralized place, like a hub. The cleaners would go before every clean and we would mass do laundry. So we had 6 washers, 6 dryers in this like office building. You'd bring laundry in and you could grab like clean. So we essentially had a girl that we paid full time to like be at this essentially like our own laundromat and would manage all the linens and like bag up linens to take to each property. But we ended up having like really strong differences on like I cared if all the linens matched each other and like what was happening. And they're like, it's okay if the pillowcases are like close enough, the same color gray. And I'm like, I'm unwell about this.
Yeah, no.
So it was hard because I'm like, I get like when you have 45, like you need to kind of churn it. But I'm like, hotels are doing this and they're hitting a standard. Like there has to be a way. And so that was kind of, I'm like, if I'm going to put all this work into it, we're going to figure out how to do it well. And so that's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
where
you
I'm
only
at.
have a couple options. I mean, really, if you're talking
Right.
about linens for 45 people, either you streamline it, charge everybody a linen program and use the same linens throughout, or, you pay attention to which house it comes from, right? I mean, you don't really have many other options, I guess, on that. Um,
Right.
I mean, and that's crazy that you guys opened a whole laundry facility, which
Yeah.
is great. And then maybe in turn, it could have turned into a business and you could have been doing laundry for other people's houses. I don't know how many houses are in that area, but that are short-term
Our
rental, but
population in Fort Wayne's about
there's could be
300,000.
some revenue
Yeah.
making possibilities.
Yep. Yeah. So I think it was interesting. We were talking about the laundry, and I'm like, I think the new thing is having to build out a new system for like inventory management and doing that well. And I also hate like, I don't want to charge every single owner I onboard for like, we used 1 bottle of toilet cleaner and you got 1 roll of toilet paper this month. Like, I don't want to get that granular. So just trying to figure out how do you structure your like fees and startup fees and that kind of thing. I don't know if that's something you guys, probably talk about, but Because I'm like, do you do like,
Can I explain what I do for the
yes,
toilet paper
teach
and
me all of
stuff,
your
like
ways because I'm,
toiletries? So I don't know how Austin does it, but I provide because so everywhere I go, I expect it all to be the
yep.
same. So every house has to have coffee for free, toilet paper, body wash, shampoo, conditioner, dishwasher soap, laundry soap, all that stuff has to go at every property. So like if you stay at the property, that my brand property, you're going to get the same experience. You might get a better experience in my personal house, but you're going to get the same experience. I'm not going to give them like the tampons and the Q-tips and all that stuff at their house, but I provide all the essentials you need. So I provide that personally. I pay for that. So it is an upfront cost for me. However, it is included in my onboarding fee. So really the client pays for that, but I do refill it. So I charge additional on all my cleaning fees, usually about $15, $10-15 every booking. So that covers any kind of toilet paper restock, paper towel restock, anything like that. It's already included in the cleaning fee. The cleaning fee goes directly to me because I pay the cleaner directly. So I don't know how your setup is in paying, if you're invoicing or not, or if you like, are you frozen again? I think she's frozen again. We had some problems. So to answer your question, she asked if, what we do for like consumables. So what I do for consumables is that I pay for them all myself. I include them in my onboarding fee. I charge an onboarding fee because I expect the same equipment in every single property as well. I didn't add that part earlier. Then the same type of things, toiletries and everything like that. And then I upcharge my cleaning fee. So every time somebody stays, I make a little bit off of it. I estimate if you charge $15 extra on your cleaning fee. I was doing the math for somebody who liked our show. His name is Michael Nito. We talk a lot, but I was doing the math, and I think it comes out to about $900 a year if you're cleaning, I think 4 times a month. So about $900 a year, and you probably spend like upfront cost me $300 probably maybe to get everything, coffee, everything, and then throughout the year, probably less than $300. So really, you're gonna make money on it probably. And then so if you don't feel bad about like you were saying, like the toilet paper roll, like stupid stuff like that, you could easily just pay the $10 yourself and get it fixed if you wanted to do that. But that's how we do it.
I'm so glad someone isn't micromanaging their inventory. Like I just don't want to be that person. Like, and I also have been working on like I got like a contract through a company that does like hotel supplying. Like you can get an account, and I'm like, I want to order everything in bulk. So I just have this like garage I'm using as like a company headquarters, and just ordering like bulk linens, bulk shampoo, conditioner, all of that from like essentially like what a boutique hotel would buy their stuff from. And I just want to be able to keep it all there and not have to itemize like, well, this went to this owner's house. So that makes so much sense. The other thing I'm still working on is like I need to figure out how much it truly costs to clean each of the houses and like how long our turnovers were taking. So I knew like if I upcharge it $15, then because right now I'm setting it up where like for my Airbnb, I do like a split, like a 20-80 split between me and the owner. Like I do the co-host split and then I take the full cleaning fee. So I just need to make sure I have enough margin in there. So
Yeah, you need to
that's
up
the big
it.
question.
So you need to find out what your cleaner's charging you.
So my cleaners are paid $18 an hour in Indiana, which apparently is better than like Kohl's pays. So
is that like required or something, or is just how your cleaner is?
That's how we do it.
So
that's
you
how I
have to
started doing it. Yeah.
figure out a roundabout price. So
Yeah.
$18. So how big's the average house? 3-bedroom?
3 or 4. So
that's like 6 hours probably at least every time.
Yeah.
Are they doing laundry, or are you taking it to the facility still?
So not go to the facility. They're doing laundry on site now, but we keep like a full set of spare linens in the owner's closets now, so they can like remake all the beds. So pretty much they just have to launder the linens and put it away.
Keep 2.
Yeah,
because what if one gets damaged? You can't fix it that fast, right? So, I mean, and I don't know how much the bulk soaps cost you. I order everything off Sam's Club and Amazon, so I just ship it directly to my cleaners. If my cleaners will accept that, I send it to them.
Yep.
If not, but I usually just get a different cleaner if they won't. But most of them will accept it. I mean, it's like, it's cleaners are the same thing as the contractors, like you're saying. To me, at least, is like I always got to talk to like 3 of them before I find the right one, because some of them aren't really a good fit, and you think that they are, and they talk a good game, and then they steal your stuff. And that's happened to me. I mean, it took me 4 cleaners to get my personal short-term rental to have a good cleaner, and now she's great. I'm like, oh my god, the cleaners are taking the trash can down and all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's like,
so nice.
It just takes time. But what is your take on that, Austin, with the supplies? What do you think?
We just order as needed and then just invoice the owner back at cost. So a lot of managers, they'll do that. That's kind of one of our selling points is we don't like upcharge. Like if you buy soap and it costs $35, we don't bill them back $45. So we just say, hey, we order as needed at cost. I think that cuts out your problem of having to have a storage shed and keep all of this stuff because it's just one other avenue of the business that you have to manage. So I don't like that because I think it holds you back. If you want to do one thing really good, you should just do management and then you can scale. Because as you scale and add more properties, you're just going to have more of an inventory crisis on your hands that you're going to have to manage. I'm not saying you can't do it that way. That's just what I've run into. Another note I would say is like, just keep doing it. And you're going to figure out organically that either that was a good idea or that wasn't a good idea because I changed how I invoiced people. I changed everything along the way. And that's what you're going to have to do, right? Another thing, my point on the cleaning fee is what I would do is if you have hourly cleaners, I would run comps on cleaning fees for other comparable properties that you're going up against because that metric there will tell you what you can charge. And if you can be a little cheaper on the cleaning fee and still make a delta, everyone wins because your property is now more competitive. You're making your margin. And yeah, so that's what I would do. I would see like if it's $350 for an average cleaning fee and you're paying hourly and it comes out to $150, maybe you just charge $300. You're still cheaper than the competition and you're doing that. So I wouldn't even say add $15, add $20. Maybe you can do the math on your end and figure out what that magic number is you need to upcharge. But what I would do first is just look at the comps of what your competition is doing and figure that out because you might be able to not have to add $15, $20. You might be able to add $75 per clean. Just looking at that first. So that was my nugget on that. The other nugget I was thinking was in regards to like micromanaging and counting every detail in the house. I think that also is like, that's the mindset you do have when you get started. And it's a great mindset to have, but I think it'll also inhibit you from scaling because you're going to get too caught up in the little things. And then, you just have, at some point you'll put in like an inspector into play and the inspector will go in and kind of do the inventory, but
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I do have an inspector now, or I do have 2 girls that run inspections. I QC after every clean now.
Yeah, have them take ownership of that, dump that on them so that you don't have to like really do that. But it sounds like you've got that part of it under control. But
right now I'm trying to only send my inspectors to the garage with all the supplies because then hopefully I can keep track of like, I guess, stuff not walking away necessarily. But again, like I don't want if someone like needs a bottle of soap, like they need it more than I do, like you can go right ahead, but I don't want to like lose entire cases of toilet paper. So
yeah. And there's pros to that. There's less involvement, like on the owner statement, you don't have to, why did you buy toilet paper? Did we really need soap? It just makes your way makes things more clean and efficient. And you're doing, like you said, you're doing the co-host method where they collect the funds and you invoice them for your services. They own the listing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I give them the option to own the listing, and then because that was kind of my one big value add. Because when I broke up with my property managers, I lost all of my listings, and it was a very sad day. So I pretty much like burned my whole life down and started over.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to that. Like co-hosting is great and property management is great. Like as a property manager, it's nice to own listing because there's leverage with that, right? Like you experienced. But then at the co-hosting side of things, you have that as a selling point. It's like, hey, if I do a shitty job, but I got you all these 5-star reviews, you can let me go and keep your listing, and I just built your business for you. So you can pitch it that way to people, and people like for me personally, I would hire a local co-host like yourself that's going to be better boots on the ground, and I'm going to be able to own the listing. As from an owner's perspective, there's so much advantages, and if you just spin it that way, more power to you, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So all you manage and you run all your short-term rentals in the same place, right?
Yeah.
So your plan with the storage facility for supplies. So if you decide to go to another market, what are you going to do? Open another storage facility? I'm just curious. Yeah. I'm just curious because you got to think about this, right? Because at some point you're not going to, if you decide to keep going with this, you're not going to have, I don't know how much volume is there, right? Yeah. Eventually you're going to run out of volume. You're going to have to move to another market, or you're going to think the same thing that the other person thought, like, oh yeah, this market's kind of crappy. Let me move to a better market that makes more money, right? So it's like, So you have to think about those kinds of things because there's going to be logistics involved. You can't just, I mean, you could, I mean, if you got that big, you could just create distribution centers everywhere, but you might as well just order from Amazon because they're already doing it for you. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like, what's the
Exactly.
difference? Save a couple bucks on the toilet paper or spend the extra couple bucks and get it shipped there. So, I mean,
Right.
that's the kind of thing that I would just look at it that way too.
I
You
think
know?
knowing what I know now, like I have the pleasure of this being in my backyard, but you can't scale to like hundreds of units in this city. But I have friends that are doing like boutique hotels now. So if I ever venture out, it'll be that way. But I'm also I like a small, like tight portfolio that throws off cash flow. And so that's kind of my ultimate goal is my little retirement plan is I don't want hundreds of doors. I just want a few that are well maintained. And those will be like my long-term wealth build strategy. Because right now, like all my money goes into furnishing houses. So I'm like, someday these will throw off money, right? My net worth looks great, but I'm very cash poor. And so it'll be nice eventually when that switches.
Yeah, it's really easy just to put the money back in. I mean, like,
Oh yeah, all of it goes back in right now.
yeah, all the money from my house goes back in. All the money that all the money I make, no matter what money I make in anything that's not like my job, like I'm either trying to put it back in marketing or I'm trying to put it back into anything that I can just to see that at some point, I figure that at some point I won't have to put the money back in. I'll only have to put a little bit of the money back in because all the money I put in is making it so I don't have to put it all in anymore. Right. So I mean, I get it. And it's tough because it's like, you got to figure out how to keep recycling this. Like,
It
how do I
takes a
just
long
put it
time
back
to
in
get
there?
there. I'm like, I just need to last for 20 years. Let's figure out how to do that. I just need to be able to hold the houses for 20 years.
Yeah.
Get them all
Just
paid
got to
off.
hang on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That's
what do
it.
you need to make enough money to be able to hang on.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're going to make extra money, I'm just going to put it on the principal and get the house paid off. I don't know. There's always some kind of answer, right? Of what you're going to do.
I always end up doing something fun with it too, like marketing spend or like furniture, updating the houses always sounds more fun than spending it on something dumb. So
you need to become a designer then and start putting people's houses together.
Right. We did
Then you
furnish
get
out.
something
My
new.
first client or whatever gave me like his old primary residence and we furnished that out. So I got to like shop for someone else. It's more fun buying stuff when it's not your money.
Heck
going out
yes,
the
it
window.
is. Heck yeah, it is too. It is much more fun. I know. I enjoy shopping for stuff when it's already paid for by somebody else versus paid for by me.
Exactly.
I get it. Yeah, that's awesome. So are you guys still running? You guys still running that laundry facility at all, or you're not part of that anymore?
I'm not part of that anymore. And so they kept the laundry facility because they needed it for their big, like, I guess like a 40 portfolio probably of Airbnbs. And then I was like, we're going to probably still use like some of the same cleaners because if they like, I'm like, they're like all 1099s. If they want to feed their family, I don't like whoever they want to clean for is what they want to do. So we like kind of worked out like an amicable relationship, but they kept the laundry facility and like all the linens and supplies. And I'm just like, I'm happy to be on my own. So,
yeah.
That's
cool. So are you planning on doing the co-host model for the whole time? Are you planning on that? Like, I mean, I don't know. So when I started, I mean, me and Austin had several conversations, and like one thing that stuck with me one time is that we were talking, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just waiting to get paid so I could pay these $20,000 or whatever it was. It was some astronomical amount."
Yeah.
And I just thought in my head, like, I don't want to be in that position because if I have to wait for somebody to pay me, that's a problem for me.
Right.
Like, so I do it different. Like, I mean, I pay them every month.
Yeah.
But and I don't know if
in
how
our
it is
state, you
legally
have to
there.
get a licensed realtor in our state, and I'm not.
Okay.
I've debated like, do you go become one? But then you have to find someone to like a managing broker over you, or you have to have like 2 years of experience being a realtor. And so that's kind of why I went the co-hosting route specifically. But then you get to this lovely gray area where Airbnb lets you split, but VRBO is like a whole nother beast that I hate. And then you have like other like direct bookings and things. So you're going to end up kind of collecting the funds, whether you like it or not on some of them. But I think there's danger in chasing them down to just be like, please pay your invoice from me.
Mm-hmm.
So that sucks. And I think the main thing is like, can you build this out? Can you show like a proof of concept? And then I hope some young spry person wants to like buy my business in like 3 years once it's built out. So I would like to exit and then buy a bigger asset. I think I'm playing adult monopoly right now, I think is the strategy. So we'll see if it works out, or if not, I'm I held my houses for longer than I thought I was going to. No.
I want to put the hotel on my board, so I get it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I'm
that
like,
seems
can I
to me that seems
1031 my
exciting.
like
Yeah.
8 single family houses into like one pretty hotel? Let's try to do that.
Yeah, with like 124 rooms, no problem. Piece of cake.
Yeah.
Can I
On-site operator, you know.
Yeah, sure. Can I buy all the furniture for it? It'll be so much fun. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know what it's going to look like because I'm like, it's all so new. I'm just trying to figure out like, are all the people showing up? Are we getting the bookings and like doing a good job for the people? Because I think that's like the ultimate mission is, you know, the consistent amenities are huge. Like I kind of learned that watching like the quality of the properties kind of going down in our area because it seemed like all these like small mom and pop operators were doing like, this is like no furniture no one in my family wanted. And I'm like, there's people that like would like to stay in not a hotel, but they don't want grandma's furniture. Can we give them a better experience in a town that isn't really a destination town? So it's a fun little experiment. We're having a good time. So.
You're coasting one right now, right?
Yep. And then I have
That's
like
perfect.
three that are coming eventually. So
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's because you can read all these books, listen to all these podcasts, but like that one, you're going to learn everything from that one, exactly how you want to do it, how you don't want to do it, you know, what a bad owner looks like, what red flags to identify in these bad owners, and so on and so forth. So like you're on track for the great learning process because you won't need answers because you're going to get the answers yourself. So
yeah.
I love it.
And we spent like all of the slow winter months figuring out how the heck do you set up like owners closets? How do you set up like what locks do we want to use? I like signed up for like several like masterminds and like just teach. I need like a crash. I need to learn everything before summer comes so I can actually make some money. So it's been interesting. Like like getting consistency across all the properties when you're used to having like a standardized like a laundry facility with all the supplies there to having no supplies and no owners closets. It was kind of a fire hose for a bit. And who knows, maybe next winter I'll change up what I'm doing and do something totally different, but for now it seems to be pretty good. Apparently me and Matt have the same brain because we did a very similar structure and I feel like I had no idea what I was doing. So.
Oh yeah, you ask me questions anytime you like. I don't know.
I think we had a very similar setup plan going.
Yeah, there you go. I'm blessed because it's like I get to do this every week or every other week with Austin and other people that come on here, and I get to hear like all the horror stories they have, and I'm like, yeah, not doing that. Check, not doing that. Check, not doing that. And it's like, you know, it's funny because he was talking about the invoices and like the same week, I think we had Aaron Kirkham on and then he was like, oh yeah, I'm moving to trust accounting. And I was texting him later and I was like, how do you like it? And he was like, oh my God, my life's so much easier. And I'm like, okay, so let me go this route. And yeah, it is a pain in my ass sometimes. Cause I'm like, when certain things come up, if I didn't like I had it to where like, it was going, here's the booking rate, minus the promotion because it's 20% off because of new booking, minus the fees, minus this. And then I'm like, okay, I need to make this. I had to figure out how to make this work right because it doesn't make sense to show the owner that part. It just makes sense to show this is what it got booked at. This is my commission. This is what you get paid. That's all it makes sense. Everything else goes through me anyway. It goes directly to my account, directly to, you know, the trust account, and I pay the cleaner directly. I end up technically paying the fees. Like that's how so it's like I had to figure out. I'm sitting here messing around for like an hour trying to figure out the formula, talking to support, reading articles, and it's like it took a long time. But once it was set up, it was pretty me and Austin were talking about this today, and I was telling him like, yeah, like it's pretty easy to me. Like I could probably submit invoices and payments for 60 clients in 2 days. Like it's told him like 2 to 3 days.
Apparently
probably
we need to spend some time together because I hate that part right now. That's like the vein of my existence is the
I just push a button. It's easy. It just costs money. I just charge in my tech fee though. So like I do it differently. Me and Austin both do it differently. Austin didn't charge a tech fee. I charge a tech fee. I'm just picky like that. I feel like if I'm running a business, why should I pay the overhead? So I charge a tech fee. So the software gets paid for, the trust accounting gets paid for, the ring, I require them to have a ring, doorbells, those get paid for, minute gets paid for, like everything gets paid for. And then for some of the properties that are like I have property in Galveston, I run Facebook ads with the difference, but like I charge a lower in like the metro because I'm not going to run Facebook ads for metro because there's no, I don't know who to run them to. I don't know who's coming to a metropolitan area. There's a million different people for a million different reasons. So, I mean, yeah. So, but this isn't a podcast about me. It's a podcast about you.
This has been great though. So thank you.
Yeah, it's like we should call this one the learning corner, Austin.
The learning corner. We're learning
go.
on, let me tell you what not to do in a business. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no wrong answer. I think,
No.
I mean, everybody makes mistakes, and it's like, sometimes when it happens, you're just like, oh God, that was so stupid. Why did I let that happen?
Yeah.
You know, there's times where I'm like, oh, why did I do that? You know, so yeah, I mean,
if you listen to like one of the first episodes, like it's like this is how much has happened over the time period since we've been doing this. Like I had my business and I had like 10 properties at the time, and I was charging everyone's credit card. And I say this in like the first few episodes. I was charging all the owners' credit cards. Like I have everybody's credit card on file, and I would order per property, because what I didn't want to do is inquire, and what I ended up doing this anyways, inquiring all these expenses that I have to bill them back for. So it's like, okay, hey, this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to offer a level of service that's elevated compared to all these property managers in the area. But what I need to do is like, I need to buy all the consumables and stuff on your card. So then we had Patrick Switek on the show, and he was like, dude, you got to stop doing that, because once you can maybe manage 10 credit cards, but the liability is high. And then once you get to like 60 properties, you can't have 60 different credit cards trying to figure out how to pay for everybody's shit. So like, I mean, and I look back at the time there, I was like, dude, I'm a genius. Like, I don't have to over leverage myself. And then now today I'm like, dude, you're a clown for doing that, right? Like, that's crazy. But I didn't know what I didn't know. So like, just to go back, there's so much stuff that I did wrong that I laugh at now, that I'm like, man, that's funny.
No,
like,
it's true, dude. Because you thought it was totally the right thing to do. Because we were talking about it, and I was like, well, send me that contract with the credit card authorization form. I want to see it. And then I was like, well, how do you do it? And you're like, oh, I just do it in Google Drive. And it's like, God, that must be so difficult. Like, it just seemed difficult for you to keep all that.
I think that's, and I think it works if you're just going to, and I think it was Bill Faith's method at the time. Maybe he doesn't do it that way anymore. And maybe I'm sticking my foot in my mouth, but I'm pretty sure, because it was a contract I got set up very similar to that had a credit card authorization form on it. And I think maybe Bill does it that way, but he was managing very, very high-end luxury properties and a very small percentage of them. So if you're managing 5 to 10 properties, and you just have to do 5 to 10 credit cards to pay for other people's stuff. So and these properties make a lot of money. So if you're invoicing thousands of dollars, you don't want to add even more on top of the expense. So at the time I was thinking that, but I think at the volume level, I think it's a bad idea regardless. But if you're maybe doing 5 to 10 properties, I think it works. But if you go past that, I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
It seems tough. I'm sure they have an app for that.
Probably.
I mean, my biggest problem is onboarding. It just takes so long, and
to onboard the properties or the new.
Yeah, because I go over there and take the serial numbers of everything, and because and I'll tell you why. I had a washer break last week. I ordered the part; it was there in a day. Boom, done. My guy fixed it while he was there. My cleaner for the house includes maintenance as long as they're going there. So I just shipped the part to his house. They went there to clean. He changed the part, and he's like, "Washer works." Cool. I knew exactly what to order. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to have him take pictures. I don't have to look, nothing. So it's like, I spent a lot of time like documenting serial numbers, making sure smoke detectors are in the right place, just kind of checking a lot of safety things. If they're on stilts or have a second story, I make sure they have an emergency ladder, escape ladder. I let them know, tell them it's not required, but it's recommended. And the way I look at it is there's only one way out. If there's only one way out, we need to find another way. Unless it's a single family home, there's a million ways out. You can jump out any window, but you got to find another way, because if the house burns down and somebody can't get out, and then your owner is a problem now it's a problem for your owner, but it's probably going to be a problem for you too. Right. So it's one way or another, it's probably going to affect you. So I just look at it that way. So I do spend a lot of time. I probably spend a whole day, like literally 8 hours probably at the property, and then I just, I install everything. I mean, I'm not like super remote, 2-3 hours, but I'll install everything, go get keys made, all that good stuff, put it in my key binder, keep a copy of the keys in a binder, every house with little tags on it. You can buy it on Amazon for $20. It holds like 120 keys. But so I mean, I do it differently, and I know when Austin used to onboard, he used to go down there and onboard too. But to me, it just takes a long time. To me, it's like if I had an app to where it's like I could just like snap a photo of the serial number on there and it would know and just keep it in there. And then I could just like snap photos of stuff real quick and then just, how many bedrooms, push 3, push whatever. And like my life would be a lot. And then it'd print out this big discovery sheet for me. Hey, done deal. I would take it. But
at one point I did sheets on all of this. It's making me think because I'm like, I have this QC girl that I love who does like the inspections. And I'm like, she would be great at that. Like going through every house and like cataloging all of the stuff I want to track. Like what size furnace filter do we need? Do I keep at the beginning of every year, I send furnace filters to every house to make sure they're up to date. Like we spray for bugs a couple times a year, like once in the spring, once in the fall, like just kind of doing all of that stuff. But I hire like everything out. It's kind of painful. I really don't do a lot myself anymore. So
yeah,
I'm like
that's easier.
System person.
You got to know the AC filters and stuff like that. I mean, I just did an episode the other day, and I was telling everybody like I onboarded a house and I forgot to even see if there was a key to turn on the fireplace or how to turn on the fire, or not the fire, the fire pit, or how to turn it on. And yeah, they tried to get a refund the first booking ever, but didn't work for them because I bought a new key and put it in the drawer before after they left. But yeah, it's it's just like Austin said, it's just little things that you learn, right? So you don't know unless things happen. Like in every level, Austin is learning new stuff every day. We're having conversations, and it's like I'm learning new stuff every day. You learn new stuff every day. Hopefully, everybody who listens to this learns new stuff every day, and it's just. I mean, it's just the way it goes. You just got to go and see what happens. Yeah. So,
but the things I like worried about 6 years ago are nothing I worry about now. Like now I'm managing like 10 long-term rentals in my sleep. And like, you just like do like a call or 2 a month and it's so easy. And then I'm like, now I'm just all on MTR systems and STR systems. And it's crazy how like you think you haven't gotten that far and you're still dealing with stuff. But like 6 years ago, I was drywalling something. So it's kind of crazy how
it seems so much harder 6 years ago too.
So much harder. Yeah. And now like the problems I got like years ago, I'm like, well, I just wouldn't do that. Like with a contractor, I wouldn't have ended up there, but it's all because you learn the hard way. So it's, there's value, I guess, of jumping in.
It really is.
Yeah.
That's true. I agree.
Yeah.
I think
I love it.
Yeah.
So good stuff on the co-hosting. I love everything we talked about there, but let's go back to what you're doing. I want to pivot to something that you go back to you educating because you have a lot of value and we've learned a lot from you, but, I want to know, okay, so you had mentioned something with your social media, maybe like raising capital or something like along those lines. Give me a little background of what else you got going on there and tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's like at Sarah King Invests, and I originally started just as like an accountability and like found some cool friends online, and really just networked a lot. And mostly it was, and at one point during the pandemic, I'm like, you know what I should do? Start a podcast. I haven't done it in years. I have like 23 episodes floating around somewhere under Nerd's Guide to Fi was like my handle then. But then I just decided like every year I would be like, this year is the year I make a bunch of money in social media. Like this is the year I monetize it and figure it out. And I would be like, okay, year 1, I spent $1,000 and I made 500. And I'm like, well, I made money. So that was good. And then the next year I'd be like, okay, I spent $3,000 and I made 1,000. And I'm like, damn it. I'm still like, you're still losing money and like you're making more, but the spend, it was just really hard to get into it. And it like ended up being like, well, now I have a content manager and all this stuff. And then I finally pivoted to be like, what do I really like every day? And that's like the actual nuts and bolts of doing the real estate, doing acquisitions, knowing the relationships, having a team. And so I decided, I'm like, maybe I'll just do social media as like an awareness to raise, I guess, people to like watch what we're doing and be like, do you want to invest private money in this market? Because real estate in the Midwest is super boring, super like grandma's way to retire. It's very stable. There's good job outlook in our city. All of a sudden we're making all these lists of like great states to invest. Like if bigger pockets is talking about Fort Wayne, Indiana right now, I'm like, stop it. But that's fine. Like I've had a couple people DM me now that we're making all these lists because the job growth is really good here. But it's just a really stable market to invest in. And so it's pretty nice to be able to find other investors in other places. And so I started raising money. I've now used, I think, 9 people I've used 11 different private money lenders, but one was friends and family, so we're just not going to count that one. But like 9 strangers on social media have like lent money on a deal or two here and there. And I've had a few like repeat clients now and a few like one-time clients, but it's enabled me to really scale and kind of grow everything versus like if I had to do it like 20% down payments as a slow burn and saving up 20% down, I would never be where I'm at with the portfolio. So
wouldn't you say that your credibility, that people are, you're like, people are giving me money over the internet, right? Like that's a funny way to say it, but the way I really look at it, and the way I look at it is like, and like I've been following you for like 5 years now, so you've built enough trust and you've built enough into your own personal brand that's why people are coming to you, right? Because you're
I always
about
talk like the funnels with people. Like social media is like the top of the funnel, where and like say the bottom of the funnel is like one person that finally gives you money. The top of the funnel is like people know you. Like the know like trust factor is like the top of the pyramid. And so that's really what Instagram is the top of the funnel, where like maybe you start with like thousands of followers and you end up with like one human that's like, sure, I'll give you 60 grand to buy a house and put a lien on the property for me. And so that's kind of the funnel. So that's the like essentially the top of the funnel. When you talk about like lead magnets and stuff, Instagram is kind of my like lead magnet where people get to know me and be like, this girl might be onto something. She keeps buying shit in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And she's still here after 6 years. And a lot of people come and go. And I'm like, what I am doing is I'm here, like, and I'm consistent. So, and just constantly kind of building it out.
So. I love that. So what's like, I really enjoy your content. So like, what is your focus on your social media? Is it kind of like to add value to people? Is it more to solicit the right kind of business in, or like where are you trying to go with your social media content? Because you have 30,000+ followers that are following you, so you have the attention of people and you have the credibility. Is that still a focus for you, or not as much?
Mostly I use it as a networking tool now because people are like 30,000, that sounds crazy. I'm like, it's like been pretty stagnant for the last like year and a half, but I really just stopped churning money into it. And now it's just, I post because I enjoy it. And so if you ever see a post on there, it's literally me. It's not like a marketing person. And it's just like, I treat it like a behind the scenes. Like people say, I read this thing once where it's like people will invest with you if they get to know you, and people use social media like reality TV. Like they want to see behind the scenes. Like I get the most views, comments, messages when I'm like painting something or doing a time lapse. So if I can like do dumb things and video it, like that's usually helpful. I really regret, like yesterday I was at a job site and I was like, I'm going to put a new slage lock. It's like my new house and I need to put the new locks on because I like require owners now to have the like slage and code. And I was there and my drill died. And I ended up doing like this little tiny pink screwdriver that my grandma bought me like 2 decades ago. It was like the only thing in my car. And I ended up like putting on this whole damn lock because I'm like, the guest checks in at 4. We're going to figure this out. And I'm just like, the house is right by my house. I'm like, why am I the one doing it? But I'm like there with my little pink screwdriver. I'm like, this should have been recorded. This would have been a good one for social media because this is just a behind the scenes that people appreciate, to know you're like a real human, because things like the revenue numbers and the flashiness and like the really overdone reels are kind of getting overdone. And so I try to do the opposite of that to build credibility.
Yeah. My favorite one is the doors. The doors.
Yes.
How many doors? How many doors? It's just like, okay, how many doors do you have? And okay, what percentage of those is actual equity? Are you a 10% partner on the 100 door deal? That's the deceptive thing that people do online. Like I have 200 doors. It's just like, oh my goodness. That's my cringe there.
Yes. All the vanity metrics. We had a guy talk about how he had like, I think like 8 million in real estate. I'm like, you're 50-50 with like all these other people on all of this. Like you don't personally have this, like, so I'm like, I think like how much your rent roll is like another subtle flex that I'm like, that doesn't tell you anything. Like like people are leveraging their eyeballs, including myself. Like none of that's a net number.
Yeah, I had a friend that he was talking to somebody and he was like, oh man, I talked to this guy that had like 1,000 doors or something. And then he keeps talking to him and everything starts unraveling. And apparently he put like $50,000 into a syndication of a project with 1,000 doors. But he's going around telling everyone that he has 1,000 doors. I'm like, dude, you're a clown, man. Like that's horrible.
So that doesn't count.
Nobody shares the bad stuff on social media.
No.
So
That's true, and I'm a victim of that too. Like I need to start sharing more losses. Like that's what I need to do. I share too many wins, so I can take accountability on that. But I'm not going around telling people I have 1,000 doors. That's for sure.
But you
Right.
don't want to be negative either, though. Like, so it's like I think people think sharing their losses is negative. Like what you said, like when you had to use that screwdriver, I had a similar situation. I drove 2 hours. I was having to build a fence at my house, and I forgot my drill. And guess what? I had to drive 30 minutes to Home Depot and buy a new drill. Now I have two. Lucky me.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Pretty sure I
You
have
know?
carpal tunnel. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
There goes $99. Like, geez. You know.
Yeah, and everyone I've talked to that like they say like, oh, I love sharing my losses because they say their engagement is so much higher because it's relatable, and people are like, dude, that should happen to me, like the same thing. And it's like,
yeah.
I think there's value in sharing your learning experiences, right?
Yeah. And
I
just
think
like
you're not-
trying to be like, I'm a real person in the sea of people that are like, give me your money.
Here's my
Yeah.
Lambo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my role. Like
Cool.
watch videos. I'm like we show up. I went to a job site and my handyman's like historically, like my lead handyman is like just pretty. Like he wears like a polo and I'm like, how in the hell are you like working on houses anyway? He's like, well, I just changed shirts in the car. Like he's always really worried. I like show up in jeans and a t-shirt. I'm like, I've been doing this long enough where I don't want to show up in a fancy outfit to like meet a new private money lender. Like I'm going to show up in jeans and what I'm wearing. And yeah, I'm like, I have a day job that I dress up for. And the point is I don't have to dress up for this. And he's like, what are you wearing? Like my handyman's mad at me for what I'm wearing. It's great. So
Just got to be yourself. That's
Yeah.
what that actually segues into my question that I had for you. So, well, first of all, you said people that know, like, and trust you will fund you. So, if anybody wants to fund me for a boutique hotel, let me know.
same.
But really, what the
Apparently me and
so
Matt
just
are
fund
opening
us
up boutique
both.
hotel.
Yeah, we're just gonna power our powers will be combined. We're gonna hit Menards and get it going.
Exactly.
So what are your tips? So like if somebody wanted to get involved in any kind of real estate, like who cares, whatever they want to purchase, what are your tips for them to help them find a private money lender or a hard money lender that would be credible and the easiest way to do? Because I see this stuff on the internet and I see people like, I'll be in the sub 2 group and people, 100% funding, this and that. And I just think like, okay, dude, you're just scamming me. You're scamming people. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are your best, because people don't explain this either. I'm gonna be honest. People really don't explain how difficult it actually is to get any kind of private or hard money funding without actually knowing what you're doing. Unless you find an actual reputable source. Because like you said, no like and trust is built on the internet. And even if you suck, you could build no like and trust. So what is your best tips for people to find private and hard money lending for them to get into their next project?
So I think start a social media as soon as you can. Honestly, if you want to go this route, and I'll just speak from like what I do know, because even like friends and family have come to me later. Like I had a work friend be like, I've been following you for years. I actually want to lend money on a deal. And I'm like shocked because I try to keep my work and my play very separate because I'm like, I have a whole like fancy day job and they don't need to know that I like do all this like side hustle. Like they know if I ask, and I think my whole team knows now, but like people have lent to me from work now and it's just, they'd followed you for years and kind of wanted to join in on that. I did do a pitch deck. So I'm good friends with like Soleil. She's Lattes and Lisa's on Instagram, but I use her original pitch deck. I actually think I have mine. I used to have it in a bio link, so it's probably still out there. I think there's like 2 links in my bio right now because my like link tree is down because I decided I don't really care. Because I'm like, I just want to buy more houses with my cool friends and my lenders that I have. And so there's 2 links in my bio. One's a pitch deck, and it's actually like a sample deck that was Solis, and I rebranded it green, which is my like kind of favorite color, and did that whole thing. But I think just developing a deck where you talk about like this, how many deals I've done, this is the experience, or at least your background, like me having a day job, like I'm bankable and it helps. And so if I need to get conventional loans, I can do that. If I need to refi back out the private money. So what I've been trying to do lately is buy everything in cash and then refi later with the bank. And so knowing that you have this bankability is helpful, and the day job helps with that. So you kind of build out like a little mini resume. And then I also do a like why invest in Fort Wayne, Indiana, because people have no idea what Fort Wayne is. Like, why do I care what jobs are there? It sounds like another Midwest town. Like, why this market over like Columbus or Cincinnati or something like that? And so I try to put those metrics out there, and then I run like through all the numbers on the individual deals. And then a lot of times, so I started like a email list also going where I'm like, hey, if you ever thought like maybe you'd invest in a private equity deal or something, like join the email list. So that's the other link in my bio, is just join the list of lenders. And if I get a new deal, I'll send you an email. And so I'll occasionally email this list. I do a bad job of keeping it warm. I guess my warm email list has become a pretty cool email list because I kind of neglected them. Where I'll email out like, hey, I have this opportunity. Here's the rundown. If you want to, hear more about it, let's hop on a call and we'll do a Zoom. And so I used to get a ton of inquiries about like, will you do a one-on-one call with me? And now I'm like, I'll do it if you're interested in learning either how to A, source your own private money, or B, you want to lend on a deal. Like I'll hop on a call for that. But otherwise I like to see my kids at night, and otherwise I never will. So, I started using it as like a protect my time thing, where I'm like, I'll only talk to people like podcasts or private money. But now I don't get any of those inquiries because I pretty much don't do a ton on social media anymore, except for cool stuff like this. So
we made the cut.
You made the cut.
So you're.
I have a 1-year-old, so it was like I'm in the baby phase. I'm just trying to stay alive. Like I haven't slept late. Actually, it's better because you don't want to meet me when I'm sleep deprived anyway.
Yeah. All you say is all the time is go to sleep. Yeah, go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Yeah. It was more for everyone else.
So most of your properties you're burring then, or burr STRing?
Yeah.
Is that what you're buying them in cash, or
I always tell people I'm a really bad burr investor. So I do like a very close burr. Like I usually leave like 10, 15K in every burr. And then, so I have like a lot of like baby HELOCs and other things. So I'm kind of like an imperfect burr champ. I'm really good at finding ones that almost burr.
So you're close.
I'm close.
See, but most people wouldn't say that though. So
yeah, I'm really good at finding an imperfect burr where you leave about anywhere from 5 to 15 in, but it's gotten me where I am, and it cash flows.
I think a perfect one is hard to find, especially if you want to, especially when people are like, oh yeah, I made $30,000. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, dude.
Well, and the other thing is, if you can find a bank that'll lend you the whole amount that you possibly need, then in today's interest rates, your payment is so freaking high now that you're like, am I actually cash flowing now? And that's the dilemma, is do you suck all your money out, or do you leave a little money in to hit cash flow? And so there's a fine, weird line I walk there where I'm like, it's not going to be cash flow negative. It'll always make money every month, but my money's sitting, like I have some equity stuck in the houses. So
yeah, but you'll get it back.
I'm really good at the really close burrs. Like, I don't think I thought once I pulled it off and I would still left a little in. So close. Like,
and you guys thought really close didn't count in real estate. See, it does.
See? It happens. Yeah.
Horseshoes, hand grenades, and real estate.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Right. I mean, it's a lot of leverage, but it also built out a portfolio, and eventually it'll pay itself down. So
10 years from now, you could refinance and get your 15 grand back.
Yep.
If you really have to. And then some extra.
Yeah. And then every time I make a little money, I throw it at one of them and I call it a day. So
there you go.
Getting those little baby HELOCs paid off. I started
soon.
So you can still do a mediocre deal. Like real estate investors sometimes talks about base hits. That's my version of a base hit, where like it's not the sexiest thing ever because you left some equity in, but if you look at it just from an STR perspective, the cash flow is awesome. So,
and people are out here acting like they always hit home runs too. That's what's crazy about it. And I don't think that's true. I mean, and I'll be the first to tell people I bought a short-term rental. I didn't even know I was going to short-term rental yet. So I didn't do any research, but I think that's just how it goes sometimes. So I'll ask you one more question, and I know we got to get going. You got a kid and all these things to do. Being a mom, man. I know. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
I'm two and done. Our son is the easiest. Like he's the dangerous one that you'd like, I could have more of these. And I'm like, no.
Just wait. So what's your end goal? What's your plan? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to scale up to? What do you like right now? What do you see that your goal is right now? Obviously they change, right?
Yeah. So I think in the beginning it was just replace my day job income. And then I keep moving that needle up. And then I'm like, well, I'm just going to be doing this forever. So I think eventually it became a net worth goal where I'm like, I think if I could live off of like $3 million comfortably. And so it became hit $3 million like net worth by the time I'm 55, because in the really nerdy investing world, there's called a rule of 55s. Like if you're at a job and you retire at, you might know this or you might not. I guess if you retire at 55, you can withdraw off that 401k early from the job you either left or were fired from. And so you can like leave at 55 and access your 401k early without penalty. You don't have to wait until you're 65. So 55 has always been the arbitrary. Like if I'm still working after the age of 55 at a day job, I either really love it or something's gone terribly wrong with my investments. Then a few years ago, I realized I had gone a little crazy with real estate. And now I think I'll probably end up, because I have about, I guess if it was like just, I guess worthwhile, I have about 3 million in real estate and I'll have 3 million in investments. So I kind of doubled that along the way because I got really scared about like, what if the stock market fails? And then I'm like, well, what if real estate doesn't work? And I'm like, let me just get both to 3 million. And then I'll be like, have this amazing badass retirement. And so I hit that. Like I'll get there. Like my net worth is still less than $1 million, but like by the time I'm 55, that's the trajectory. Where I just want to be able to do like really cool vacations before I'm like, my body shuts down and I'm too old to enjoy it. But right now I feel like the beginning of the year, I like overdraft my bank account because I bought a ton of linens and shampoo. And I'm like, we're doing great. It doesn't seem like my net worth is growing because here I am overdrafting my bank account. It's going awesome. But on paper, it looks pretty. But the day to day is, we're all making it in like a suburban neighborhood. So
is the overdraft fee a write-off? That's a question. I'm at that text Ryan Bakey about
that.
That
is up to my CPA and my bookkeeper. I don't do any of that. Probably, right? I think it's under the bank fees category and it all ends up there. But with the day job, it's all passive losses anyway. So
that's awesome. I mean, I really do thank you, Sarah, for coming on here and being like 100% vulnerable and telling people everything. I mean, most people won't just be like, hey, I overdraft my bank account at the beginning of the year. I mean, and it's true though. I mean, they won't. Yeah. And, shit happens and life is life, right? We're all just trying
we're talking
to
like vanity metrics. I'm like, my net worth is almost $1 million and I overdraft my bank account this year. Like vanity metrics. Like someday it'll be really cool. It's just right now you're like grinding. We're in the grinding phase. I guess I'm not buying like Lululemon crap. I'm buying like furniture and bath soap. So, you feel like you're on a mission, right?
Yeah, at least you're overdrafting stuff that hopefully brings more money in your pocket. Yes. And not depreciating asset, I guess.
Yeah. Winter in Airbnb in Indiana sucks. I'm like, right now it's like, this is what it feels like to have money again around here.
Oh, yeah. Slow season. I remember what it's like to be poor. Man, I was bawling a couple months ago.
I was excited because I'm like, me and the property manager broke up in January. I'm like, well, it's great. It's slow season. I don't have any bookings anyway. And it was great because if you're ever to change systems, it's nice to do it when there's no guests. But also I had to fill 8 owners' closets and I had no income. So I'm like, yeah. And if you're like $300 a closet,
charge an onboarding fee.
Yep. Well, it sucks when they're all yours.
Yeah, they're all your own. Yeah, well, that's on
I
you.
charge myself. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So when I got my first owner, I'm like, I can charge him to stock the closet. This is great.
Yes, you can. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you just call it a setup fee. You can put whatever you want in that, whatever. It could just be in my pocket. We're just going to call it a setup fee.
Yep.
But
I stocked his closet. It's beautiful. We have Slage locks. I have cameras.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I didn't pay for it like I did.
Yeah, thanks for paying and thanks for playing. I appreciate it. Yep.
It's a whole new world.
Let everybody know where they can find you. This was a really great episode and hopefully we'll have you back someday so we can ask you questions instead of you asking us questions the whole time. It's the first time anyone's ever asked us a bunch of questions. So that was kind of cool.
Thank you.
No, it's great. I appreciate it. I mean, nobody ever sends us questions for our Q&A episodes. They don't want to send us questions, but
hit me up for a Q&A episode. I'll send you questions.
There you go.
But every week I'm like, do I like my property management system? I'm feeling really mad at it today, but last week it was fine. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we love answering questions. It's fun for everybody. So,
good.
But yeah, thank you so much. And I'll let Austin wrap us up.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank y'all for listening. Peace.
Thanks, guys.